Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. I don't know what time you're watching this, but I just wanted to come by and say hello to you. It's Thursday, family. It's Thursday, it's Thursday, it's Thursday. We are going to get started. But before we get started, let me our add in our commercial, add in our content. All right, so let's go. You are what success looks like. Let's go.
I believe in my heart is that black and brown males can graduate high school at 80, 90, and 100%. I believe that's possible.
For a leader, you have to really have the will and the skill. People might have the will and then they get burnt out because they don't have the skill.
Because it was by the grace of God that I was successful. When you put the right supports in place and you put a culture of love, I promise you the babies can do all things through Christ who strengthens them, right?
Hey, you all, this is Pastor Still. Listen, I'm so excited about my friend's book, Dr. Marck Abraham. Listen, make sure you get your hands on this book. I believe this book is going to be life-changing. We had such an awesome time with him at Kingdom Church. He did an excellent job speaking about the book, and I really believe that education can literally help break the back of that spirit that tries to stop us from learning. So make sure you get your hands on that.
Good morning. All right, so let's get started. Listen, I just want to say I started my educational career and my journey. I was just watching that video again, and sometimes I play it, but I just play it and it's playing. But I started my career as a consultant really in that vein, that black and brown males can graduate high school at 80, 90, and 100%. It is a belief of mine. It's a visceral belief. It's a educational belief. But it's a belief that I know that black males can graduate high school at a high rate. When I did my research as a doctoral student, black males are only graduating high school around 59%, and their white counterparts were graduating high school at 81%. When I was looking for schools to study, to be able to examine what they were doing to increase graduation rates for black males, it was so disheartening because in New York State, the graduation rate was about 63%, 59%. I think it was 63%. And I could only find a handful of schools to do the study on. I could only find a handful of schools that would even have a graduation rate for black males that was higher than the 63% threshold, where our white counterparts were graduating high school at 81, 82, 83%, the males. And when you're doing the research and you're looking at the data and you're saying, man, why is this happening? And so, I built my career on saying, especially, I built my career saying, hey, that we need to make sure that I bring awareness to this, that I bring awareness to this concept, these ideas that black males can actually make this happen. But what happens when you do that is in a speech, it sounds good, but when you actually have to go into a school and tell them, hey, listen, you're failing these group of kids, people really don't want to look at that reality. They don't really want to look at that fact. It's like a sore topic. So, and why is this? I mean, and I do it not just for like, you know, my career. I do it really because, the people that I know that are successful, that are black men, all have high school diplomas. There's this ridiculous concept that's pushed out in a narrative for in the black community that you could be successful without education. And then they'll show us maybe three or four people, and they'll say, well, everybody that's been successful didn't have a high school diploma and didn't have a college degree. Yeah, but that's a very, very small percentage. Majority of the people who don't have high school diplomas that I've experienced have end up in prison or end up getting killed in the streets. Statistically, majority of people in prison don't have high school diplomas. And so, you know, for parents, especially for mothers who have sons, this is a reality that, black sons. This is a reality that we all have to encounter. I have a black son, and it is so nerve wracking to send my black son into the world. Right? It's very difficult because you might not know, but statistically, they say that in third grade, teachers start to look at black boys as criminals, thugs, sex objects in third grade. That there's a thought process that these young men are starting to look like adults, and it's the adultification of black boys. And the same thing happens for black females too. Their white counterpart, young lady, can wear anything, and that's just a base. She's just a young lady. If a black female wears something, then now it's they're trying to be promiscuous, or you're looking at them sexually. So my career has always been, how do we change the tide for black and brown males? That has always been my stance. Nothing and nothing against white children or Asian children or anybody else, but I grew up in a all black community, and my why for doing this has been my passion for the community that I serve. It's always been the passion for the community that I serve, to make sure that people that look like me are being successful. And my vein and my lane is education. It's fighting the system that says this is not possible, and it's fighting $1 billion system, a multi-billion-dollar system. Because if you think about it, everything is contingent on education. Everything is contingent on education, right? If you get educated, then you can go to college. You go to college, you're not in poverty. If you get educated, you you go to college, then you're not going to prison. If you get out of poverty and you're not in the neighborhood, and you're not, allowing the poverty neighborhood kill you. You're not letting the prison system suck you in. You're getting out of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Think about it, folks. Prisons are built on third grade reading scores. Majority of teachers are told that if a kid can't read on third grade, then they'll never be able to read on grade level. So if I can't, if I'm teaching a kid that the education has told me that if they can't read on third grade, they'll never be able to read, why would I even try? What I'm going to do is I'm going to refer that kid to special education. I'm going to refer that kid off. And because they can't do it, because it's not me as a teacher or institution, it's them, it's that kid, it's that community they come from, it's that, right? And because they are who they are, it's not me. So I never have to be reflective and look in the mirror. So this is why I get into so much smoke in the world, is because I tell the community, the educational community, to look in the mirror, that the problems are not the children that you have in front of you. The problem is the person who's looking back at you in the mirror, because Black children can succeed. There is still a thought process that Black children physiologically, meaning it's physical, that Black children physiologically are deficient academically. There's a thought process that because a child is Black and because that they cannot be successful. And then when they look at me, I'm more of an anomaly to them. That they look at me and say, "No, this isn't normal. Well, you're not like everybody else." No, I'm exactly like everybody else. It's just I had a system around me that pushed me through and showed me how to get there. And then once I got out, I had other people making sure that they taught me how to read, they taught me how to write, they taught me how to do these things. So now here I am. But reading and writing, ELA, math, history, science, all of that is a skill. It's not something that is just innate. We're not born learning how to do algebra. So today, there's a long introduction, but I'm talking about selling yourself, selling your product. Because think about this. I go into a school district and I tell them that the reason why they're not successful oftentimes is because they're not being right by Black children. That's a hard thing to tell a person. It's a hard thing to tell a person. And I don't go into a whole bunch of you know, emotionalism with it. I've learned that with racism and bias, I'm not trying to change your bias, because it's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to tell a racist that they're racist and you got to change being a racist. I mean, it's changing your mind is a very difficult thing. I think that's a lot of work, and people spend their wheels trying to do this. I think what changes people is proximity of folks, so they can see that what's in their mind is not true. When you start to have relationships with people and they start to see things and you bring folks together in the same space, I think that helps. Um, but my job is to show the system that they're failing children, and they're the reason for why these children are failing. And and what I do is I go strictly to what the numbers are saying, because I know what the numbers are saying. And the reality is the same. Black males have the same issue in every school around the country, no matter who's leading the building. So it's not like, well, if a white person's leading the building, then that makes the school racist. No, if a black person's leading the school, is the black children are being impacted the same way. It's so interesting. It is so intriguing that no matter who's at the helm of the school, unconsciously, without shining a light on it, black males have the lowest. They get suspended higher. They get kicked out higher. They get referred to special education higher. They don't graduate at a higher level. And if you don't have a school leader that is conscious of this, then these things are happening. It's disheartening because the young men that are in these organizations and in these schools, they have to then now start to look at themselves as if they are the problem. That black people are always looked upon as if they are the problem, and then now we get leaders that are telling black people, you're the problem. And then folks will pay you if you're talking to the kids. They'll pay you if you're talking to the kids, because they say, well, those kids are the problem. We're perfect. We're doing it right. But if you talk to those kids, man, that's where the problems are. And I always say, I love the kids and I can talk to the kids and I can motivate the kids, but the adults are the issues within the building. That if we get adults being responsible, it will mitigate all the rest of the stuff. And they say things like, well, Doc, they're not, those parents aren't showing up, or they dog whistle. Dog whistle is, I'm saying one thing, but I'm meaning something else. The parents don't never show up. Which parents? Because when you say that, that's what you're thinking. You're thinking black children. So I'm talking about selling yourself, not selling yourself like selling your soul, but like selling you as a person. And I'm giving you this battle that I fight every single day as a consultant, every single day as an individual that helps folks change schools around. That I have to go in, tell people that they are operating from a racist lens, let people know that they're operating from a unconscious bias lens, tell them that, let them know that they are doing that, and then at the end of the day, I got to say, pay me for this. Don't get it. Don't do. Please, folks, do not get it twisted. This whole, I'm disheartened, and I think it's a good thing. But I just, when I see all of this diversity, equity, inclusion work, I think it's a good thing, but I don't think they put enough teeth behind it. Well, I'm gonna get, everybody has trying to get a diversity, equity, inclusion officer, while in the same breath you got Texas and Florida and some of those deep South people saying, we don't even want to talk about race. I mean, we got such a divide in this country right now. And you have a group of people who are saying, hey, listen, we can't even discuss race. We don't even care about it. Race don't even like don't talk to us about the past and what happened and the discrimination. No, that stuff isn't real. You just gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and if you work hard in this country, you'll be successful. Yeah, I mean, yeah, a little bit, yeah, right. But when there's so many booby traps set for me, as a young person, how am I supposed to navigate these waters? How am I supposed to navigate these waters when you put so many bombs and explosives and everything around me, so that every time I get to one place, you trying to blow me up and kill me? And I know I'm a little bit on a rant, but um, it's just, for me, it's this is the work I do, and as I'm preparing to get myself to go back into the world in July, I'm just really wrapping my head around this is the work we do, and selling folks on these ideas that they have to do better by children, because at the end of the day, what you have in front of you, if that kid is 6'4", if that kid is 6'6" and 15 years old, that kid is a child. It's a child. This is why we see, police officers, you know, killing black young men in the streets that are 14, 15 years old, 13 years old, 12 years old, killing them, shooting them multiple times. That's a baby. Kids only been on the earth for 12, 13, 14 years, and you killing them like a dog in the street. But I got a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. They're babies. They're children. But there's a mindset. There's a mindset that says the color of your skin makes you a criminal. The color of your skin it positions you as being a criminal. It positions you as being something that's negative. And it has not stopped, and it permeates the educational system. It permeates the educational system. And and if you don't have anyone saying this, and when I look around, I promise you, when I look around in the field, when I look around me, and I look around like, who else is doing this? Who else is talking about this? The groups are small. The groups are small. This is why I always tell y'all, make sure that you have investments. Make sure that you have money that you can sustain yourself, because if no one ever gives me a contract, I'm okay to say and still be able to say what I have to say and not lose my integrity and not lose my speech. Why? Because what I'm trying to do is I'm not depending on anybody's money. I'm depending on God. And then the God will touch the people's heart that they're supposed to be touched. But the reality of this work is I'm trying to make a difference for the world. When I when I go into a school and say, listen, I am them. I am that kid that you have in front of you. I came from poverty. I came from abusive household. I struggled reading. I am that kid. I went to jail at 16. I have those issues. I am that young person that you see in front of you. I got homeboys that are killed and gone. I got boys who went to jail. I understand folks who were in the trap. I am that kid that you have in front of. I am that person. But I'm a doctor now. Why? Because there was a system that said if he played football, we're gonna take care of him, because he's basically he's one of ours. He's making us money. And, when I say one of ours, meaning he's making us money, putting you know butts in the seats. You know, and this is why I struggle with black people who say stuff like, I'm not like them though, or they turn their nose on other black people. Hey, black people, brown people, any of us turning our nose on one another, because the reality is that we're given the short end of the stick. And then there's this fight like, well, you just gotta, if you just work hard, man, there's no kid that I have ever met and no family that I have ever met, and I've been doing this for a long time. I've been going into people's houses. I worked in the pens or prison, like trying to prevent kids from going to prison. I used to go to people's houses as a counselor, as a social worker, and no matter how bad or impoverished the family was, no matter what they had going on, I've never met a family that said, "Hey, I want my son to be not successful. I want him to be a bum. I want him to go to jail. I want him to get killed to the street." I've never met a mother ever in my entire career. I've been doing this for over 15 years. I've never met anybody say something like that to me. And I've talked to parents from Miami to Buffalo to Syracuse to all over the country. All these little cities. All over the country. I'm not to date met any parent say that. Not saying that they're not out there, but that's not the norm. When they see their babies, they say, "That's my baby." No matter how big that baby is, no matter how ugly that baby might be, that's my baby. And then when you see them kids walk across the graduation threshold, mamas is crying, just elated that their child was able to do that. But for so many schools, the schools act like a barrier that prevent children from making it through. And take pride in it. Well, only 15 kids out of 100 kids passed my class because my class is rigorous. I'm tough. What? Or you hear principals say stuff like, "I run a tight ship. I run a tough school." What? A tight ship, tough school? What does that mean? Well, you act up here, you kick you out. Act up here, I'm gonna kick you out. And then when you kick them out, then where do they go? They go to the streets. Gang members ain't never trying to suspend kids. The Bloods ain't never writing you a suspension letter. They not writing you no suspension letter. You down for the set forever, for life. But we can't compete with the Bloods. Well, you every time we talk real, the internet want to go out. We are competing with gangs. We are competing with them. That is the competition. That's the competition. But if you don't, if schools don't see that, if they don't see that as like that's the reality, man. Sometimes when I think about this stuff, man, you got to smile just to keep from crying, because I know, because I just watch it over and over again. You see beautiful young children, Black children, excited about education. They go to first grade excited. And then as they go through the school system, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, they start saying things like, "I hate school. I hate school." Hate is such a strong word. Where are they getting that from? The microaggressions that the teachers in the community is putting on that young person, and they're tearing them down so much that by the time they get to 7th, 8th grade, that young person has already contemplated educational suicide. I want to quit. I want to drop out. This place is not for me. And then when we fail the children, the system, the school will turn around and tell the parents, you are the problem. But my baby loved school. My child came in excited, but you kept suspending him. You kept telling him that he's bad. You kept telling him that he was no good. You kept telling him that he's not wanted. You kept telling him that he wasn't good enough. And so now he's saying, hey, this place isn't for me. I got to do something else. Black males go to college, make it all the way through high school, go through all of the nonsense, get to college, and then drop out. And the college says, well, our black males don't want it. Are you insane? This is why the children are saying things like, oh, I want to be a basketball player. I want to be a football player. Why? Because that's the only place they can see themselves being successful. Man, if you're a black parent with a black child that's a boy, advocate for your child from the beginning, because I promise you, in my city, I don't feel comfortable. Like I'm nervous about all of the public schools that now they got some private schools that look like they're doing it. I haven't done enough on them, but I'm done research on them and read them and check them out. But I don't feel safe sending my black son there. Man, I don't be feeling safe at all, man. And everything be a fight. I mean, from September, it'd be like, here's my name is Dr. Marck Abraham. Let me just let you know who I am. Let me let you know what I do. Let's get the nonsense out the way. And if you tell me something about my child, I'm gonna say, well, let's look at all your data. Let's look at all your research. You go tell me, you go show me and prove to me that you know what you're doing. Right? One teacher was telling me about my son. Well, he's struggling. I said, how he struggling? I guarantee you, if I look at your test scores are not good for any of your students in that content area. Show me that. See, when you're willing to challenge the system, not saying that it's gonna be easy, but man, if you are not a confrontational person, you better put on the spirit of confrontation when it comes to your child, because they will chew your baby up and spit them out. Especially one for black boys. They'll chew them up and spit them out. They'll chew them up and spit them out. And you looking like, well, what happened to my son? What happened to my child? The twinkle in their eye, they trying to diminish it. They trying to beat it up out of them. You say, man, Doc, this sounds scary. It is. It is scary. Walk in the hallway, get out the hallway. What you doing? Move, do this, do that. Yelling at children, being rough with them. I remember I had this doggone PE teacher say some stuff to my daughter. He said, I think he said, "Are you dumb or are you something?" My daughter said, "I'm never been dumb." I was on fire. I said, "Man, don't you ever in your life ask my daughter if she dumb. Are you crazy?" See, when you advocate for your children, that line got to be short. Don't let anything slide. Because if you let it slide, then they just keep pushing that line. They keep pushing that line. But I'm telling you, man, it's scary when you go into them schools for black children. It's scary. School is a microcosm of the real world, meaning it mirrors what's happening in the real world. So if you see cops killing black people in the real world, where does that come from? That's not just we want to isolate it to the individual person, but it's a culture within that organization, within the country, that does not skip the school. It doesn't go from, in the country racism, police officers racism, and then the school is its own little entity, and then no racism hits the school. It happens in the school. Black males are suspended 3 times higher than any other population. Suspended 3 times higher. So for every one time a white male suspended, a black male would be suspended 3 times more than that. Black males are 3 times higher in the country to get shot and killed by a police officer. You see the intersectionality? You see the correlation? Black males represent 6% of the country, over 37% of the prison population. 37. We only represent about 6% of the country, 37% of the prison population. How is that possible? Statistically, it's impossible. How does that happen? Over policing, like sending cops in the neighborhood. Man, it would be shocking to me if I seen one more. If I seen 3 police officers in my neighborhood, it's like, what's happening? It's a rarity. But you go in the black neighborhood, you see them all the time. You see them on every corner. Why? They over policing the community. Same thing happened in schools. A white kid could walk around the hallway, nobody will say something. A black child walk around the hallway, he's gonna get stopped at least 4 or 5 times on his journey to wherever he's going. I seen it happen. So I had students, Dr. Abraham, why do they attack you so much in the news? Why do they talk about you so much? What you think? I'm fighting an organization. I'm fighting a billion-dollar corporation, and I do it with a smile on my face. But I'm challenging the system to say, I need you to be right by these black young men. And I'm not saying I'm the only one doing it, but I am doing it. I'm challenging unions. I'm challenging them to say that do not tell me that only these schools could be successful. Only these schools could be successful. Because that's what the fight is. We just had a school that was facing 6 out of 65 kids were going to pass the 8th grade. The union never said that something is fraudulent going on. They never spoke up. They never said anything. They have been mum's the word for this entire time. When kids are not graduating, when black children are not graduating, there is no teachers union to say something's wrong. But au contraire, when black children are graduating, when they're being successful, the union will say there got to be something wrong. There got to be somebody cheating. Something fraudulent must be happening. Why? Because we don't believe that kids that look like us, that are impoverished, that they can do it. Because if it is happening, it got to be somebody cheating. If it is happening, it got to be something fraudulent. So today, I started off talking about, selling, and I didn't want to talk about that. And I'm wrapping my mind around, you know, I've been resting this whole time, but I'm wrapping my mind around, I got to get back on the road, so I got to get back into the fight. Take rest, and when you getting back into the fight. So when y'all say a prayer, make sure y'all say a prayer for me, because I do not bite my tongue, nor do I skirt around issues or try to duck and dodge what I know to be true. I don't skirt around the issues, man. I call an ace an ace and call a spade a spade. That's what I do. And in me doing that, it ruffles feathers. And that's okay. I would have teachers in my office crying. Why they crying? Because I held them accountable. I held them accountable. Like, listen, you're not gonna fail all my kids. No, no. We're gonna figure this out, and you're gonna show me how 80% of your kids is failing. Help me understand that, and you're gonna show me your lesson plans. And then when you do that, people get uncomfortable, because not only do they not respect the black children that they have in front of them, they now having to take a directive from a black man that they might think is not qualified to have the conversation with them, because they're a teacher, because they've only been looking at black young men from this warped perspective. So now you got a black man that's now challenging you that look like me, because I'm not. I'm not like what the I don't know how to say it, but there's what I'm talking about. There's a black man that looks a certain type of way, right? I don't look that type of way. And it's not me, right? Like, so I'm not the guy that's coming in who sounds all articulate and what you might say that sounds all like whatever it is you want to say. I come in here just like me. I'm all Carol City, all Miami, Florida. Like, I come in just like that in every situation. I'm not code switching my vernacular just to make you feel comfortable and make you feel like I'm intelligent. If the DR in front of my name don't equate to intelligence, nothing will. So let's get to the work. If the DR and all the stuff I've done in the country does not equate to intelligence to you in your racist mind, ain't nothing I'm gonna say that's gonna make you feel better. So at the end of the day, let's cut the nonsense and let's get to the work. And so when you hold people accountable, then that to do right by black children, then now they feel away. They feel away. And if they feel away, I've had people, man, in my office crying, recording me at the same time, saying the most ridiculous stuff. One lady said, "Well, back in my day, we used to treat teachers like they were God." I said, "You want these black children to treat you like a God, lady?" Old 70-year-old white lady. Well, I said, "Listen, we not treating you like no God. I'm telling you that now. It ain't happening. Wipe your tears. Stop crying. It ain't happening." Had me all over recorded. Sent it all to the news, to the Buffalo News. Sent it to everybody, man. Well, listen. Didn't want to be held accountable. Didn't want to be held accountable. And so that's the work, man. That's really the work. That's the work. That's the work. That's the work. And it's uncomfortable. It's challenging. It don't feel good. But what I say is, if it's between a person, like a teacher crying in my office because I hold them accountable, or a parent who her son just got killed, and I'm having to console a mother at a funeral that didn't, because a kid didn't get a high school diploma because we sent them out into the world ill prepared, and we rejected them out the school. And I got to hug that mama who's crying at the funeral, or I got to look at you, teacher, who's crying. Which one am I going to choose? Teacher, you're going to be crying because you get to drive home in your Lexus or your Mercedes-Benz to your suburban neighborhood. This mama lost her son. She lost her son because we didn't do what we had to do. Because we didn't hold ourselves accountable to do right by these children. Her son is now killed in the streets. And I've had to go to one funeral too many, and all, for the most part, the kids that all got killed before the age of 25, they didn't have a high school diploma either. So we man, listen, I be looking online, man, we TikToking, we singing, we dancing, we doing all this bull crap. And it might just be the way we cope. It might just be the way to disengage from what we got going on. But man, we do a whole bunch of nonsense, man, while folks is killing us in the streets. Killing us dead. And they killing, not just trying to kill us physically. Because you say, well, black men kill black people, black crime is up. Okay. They trying to kill your spirit. That's the first thing to go, man. If I can make you feel inadequate, if I can make you feel less than, if I can make you feel like you're not good enough, if I can make you feel like you're not intelligent, if I can never give you wins any place anywhere, school, kids go to school every day, if I can make them feel like a loser. And the only place I give them a little bit of hope is when they are entertaining me. Shooting a ball, busting their bones up. That's the only way I'm going to tell them that they're going to get a pat on their back from an attaboy, a praise, anything from me, is when I'm doing something to entertain you. Man, boy, you big. You a football player? No, I'm a doctor, not a football player. Asking me these stupid questions. I'm just saying. You ain't saying nothing. I'm not here for your entertainment. Oh man, this kid gonna be a rapper or a basketball player or an astronaut or a lawyer or a president of the United States or a business owner. Why my son got to be equated to entertainment for you? See, but those are the things. That's why you got to draw the line. Well, he big. He'll play football? No, he's not playing football for you. And if he do play football, he going in there with with an intelligent hustler's mentality, in the sense of, I'm gonna take what the game got to give me. I'm gonna get this education, and I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make something out of this. But I'm not gonna be for you. You must be insane. I'm not TikToking and dancing just to make you please you, just so that I can get entertainment. Remember, I went to some place. They said, Dr. Abraham, can you do a dance on TikTok for us? No, man, I'm not dancing on TikTok for y'all. What I look like? Well, just a little. No, I'm not dancing on TikTok for y'all. It'll be fun. Nah, it ain't gonna be fun. It ain't gonna be fun for me. I'm gonna look like a fool. I'm not your entertainment. But that's the fight. And so when y'all say a prayer for me, make sure y'all say a prayer for Dr. Abraham. You know, pray for me. Because we fighting big organizations. And we fight in big organizations, but I'm also fighting the thought process of people that look just like me, that see the injustice that's happening to their children, or see the injustice that's happening to the children around them, and they have the audacity, so been brainwashed so much to say, well, if it's happening, it's the parents' fault, it's the community's fault. And every time I hear that, all I can think about is Samuel L. Jackson in the movie Django. What that man doing riding that horse, boss? That you are so brainwashed to see people killing your people, and you still want to blame the victim for this nonsense. It's all I can see is the Django, the brother who was the house Negro. You let that man sleep on the bed, boss? Man, we Jesus, we need help, man. We need help, because not only do I got to fight $1 billion corporation, I got to fight our own people. It's fighting on both ends. Because the same people who blame the parents and say the parents ain't no good and blah, 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 blah. And well, and my kid, I make sure I read to my kid every day. I make sure I do this and I make sure I do that. Yeah, that's what I do. Arrogantly saying these things. Well, yeah, I make sure. Well, don't you do that with your kids? Don't you read your kids? Make sure you do that, right? Yeah, because I'm a third grade teacher. That's what I do for a living. Got time. What? You know how crazy that sounds? That's like me saying, and I'm freestyling this one right now, but I just try to wrap my. It just sounds so ridiculous to me. It's like I pay my cleaning lady, right? And like she come in here doing a piss poor job. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I say piss poor? She doing a horrible job, and then turn around and tell everybody, I can't clean the house up because Mark his house too dirty. He's the dirty one. Well, did you clean the windows? No, I didn't do that. Did you mop the floors? No, I tried, but I didn't have it. Did you clean the refrigerator? No, I didn't do any of those things. But if you were cleaner, if the house was clean when I came to clean it, it would be clean. What? And I'm saying, if you clean the house perfectly before I came to clean the house, when I leave, the house will be clean. You'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? The house is dirty. That's why I'm hiring a cleaner person. My child came to you not knowing how to read. I expect if you are a reading teacher that when they leave, they will learn how to read. Nope. If your kid can read, when they come to me, they will be able to read when they leave. We're gonna blame the kid. And if you don't read to your kid every day and make sure that kid can read, I need kids to read when they come into my classroom. So what you do? I just, I enhance the reading that they have. So if a kid come in at a level 1, I can't do nothing with them. If they came in at a level 4, I guarantee you they gonna probably leave. Well, I tell you, boy, you talk real, man. They cut you off. So anyway, that's what it is, man. And then we buy into that. Why do we buy into that? Because there's millions of dollars of unions that are putting dollars behind that idea. There's millions of dollars of campaign where people keep saying it's the parents' fault, it's the community fault, it's rap fault, it's this fault, it's that fault. That's a multi-million-dollar campaign. You don't know it because you just take it as face value. Well, if the kid be successful, then so you telling me that this how stupid it sounds. You tell me 90% of white parents are doing this? You think that 90% of white parents are reading to their kids every day, doing all these things, completely engaged, completely involved? You tell me you think 90% is doing that? Because that's what you're trying to tell me. That every white parent in the country is doing it perfectly. And so because they're doing it perfectly, then because so their kids could be successful. Oh boy, it's the same reason. It's the same racism that a white kid could go kill 10 people, walk out of a grocery store, and nothing happens to them. And we don't make the correlation. We don't correlate the two. Like we don't show the intersectionality between what's happening in school and what's happening in the real world. And then when I say it, y'all look at me like I'm crazy. It's the same reason why little Johnny could go to the front of a judge and the judge is saying, oh man, this kid just needs help. This kid probably needs some counseling or this kid needs something. But little Raekwon go in front of a judge for the same crime and get the book thrown at him. This kid's a menace to society. Come on, man. So do you think that thought process stops in the courtroom, stops at police officers, and then just completely disappears in the school system? School is absorbed from racism, absorbed from discrimination, absorbed, like all that's perfect. But the judge ain't perfect and the police officers ain't perfect. Is that what you're thinking? Because if that's what you're thinking, there's racism in school, there's racism in the courtroom, there's racism in the police force. And it's not a new racism, it's the same racism. It is when we see black males and we see brown males, we see criminals, we see thugs, we see sex objects. That's what we see. And that's how they're treated in the school, in the courtroom, and in the street with the police officers. And so now we got to tell our kids when they in school, they got to act like this. You trying to tell a 13-year-old, they got the code switch. You teaching code switching techniques to a third grader. Because if the kid says anything, if the child ever defends themselves, a teacher can say whatever they want to a kid. If a kid says, man, don't talk to me like that. Oh, he's being defiant. Insubordination. They get suspended. And so now we're conditioning young people, young men, to never learn how to speak up for themselves. Well, there's no father alone. Even if there is a father involved, we're not trained on how to code switch at 5 and 7 and 10 and 12 years old. Because there's a different set of rules in the school than it is in the streets. So even if a father's there and this father didn't make it through the system correctly because he wasn't trained how to code switch, how to just grunt and bear it while they chipping away at who you are as a person. So you can say everything to me in the classroom. You can call me everything but a child of God. I respond, and then now I get in trouble. You could be disrespectful to me. And I'm in trouble if I respond because you irritated me and say, "Oh, man, I'm walking out of here, man. I'm not taking this. This is nonsense." I get suspended. So all I got to do, what the code switcher, what they want the kids to do that are black children, be quiet, sit in them stupid rows, raise your hand and ask questions. And don't ask too many questions. And just go under the radar. Don't have no individuality. Don't have no passion. Don't talk with your hands. Don't get loud. Don't make too much noise. You know, don't do any of the stuff to make you black. You know, because we want to put that at the table. We want to check that at the door. But then when you got to go to the block, go to the hood, then you got to put on a new persona. So you come home, when you come to school, you got to put on persona to fit into the middle class, white female, make them feel comfortable place. Why you say white female? Because over 85% of the schools are taught by white females and led by white females. So I'm not saying anything that's off. I'm just telling you statistics. You know, so you got to fit into that. You know, and then when you leave out in the community, they don't care what kind of persona, what kind of attitude you got to put on to survive, because hey, that's on you. If you lived in a beta neighborhood, this wouldn't be on you. So you gotta put on a persona when you're dealing with, you know, white women when you go to school. In the street, you got to put on the persona when you're dealing with the people in the community. When you get pulled over by the police, you got to put on a raise your hand, touch the steering wheel, all this other stuff. I got to put on another persona. When I get in front of a judge, I got to put on another persona. So for a black male, the reason why we have so much difficulty is because we got to constantly be learning how to code switch in every environment that we're in. And you say all you got to do is pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you'll be successful. Man, shut up. Man, I'm done. All right. I'm finished. I done got it off my chest. I done got it off my chest, man. Good God. And so that's the fight. That's the fight. So not only I got to fight people who might not understand and sell them on the idea that every child can be successful, because Dr. Abraham is not successful by himself. I had this teacher, a white woman. That's why I'm not beefing with white people. You know, I'm not beefing with black people. I'm not beefing with them. I'm just telling you that the system can work when you work it properly. And that if you care about human beings, children's lives will be saved if you care about humans. Say this, we're Americans, man. We make this. You have positioned me to make this a white and black thing, but I believe we are all human beings. You positioned me to make this a white and black thing because of the data. So I'm looking at numbers. I'm a numbers guy. My boy Yo Gotti had a wonderful statement. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie. I'm looking at the numbers, and if the numbers are skewed, if they're skewed, and they're skewed for people that look like me, I got to say something. If the numbers weren't skewed, I wouldn't say. I would be like, all right, cool. I'd be selling ice cream on the beach in Miami. But the numbers are skewed, and they're skewed in a way to make this group look like they are incapable of doing the work. And don't get me started for the games that certain states play. You know what state you are when you play your graduation game, when you kick the kids out and send them to alternative school so that your numbers could look right, Florida. So that your numbers could look right. Because you don't care about the kids. Man, I talked to schools in Florida. I got 100% graduation rate for black males. Man, come on, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. But you kick 80 black males out the school their freshman year and sent them to alternative school. But you put them in an alternative system, and so now the graduation rate ain't tracked on your record. So now you sent them someplace else. So that's the game you playing. My graduation rate 90%. Man, get out of it, man. Come on, man. How I know that ain't true? Because I'm looking at your incarceration rates. How you got a 90% graduation rate for black males, and all your prison systems are filled with black males? The numbers don't make sense. The numbers ain't jiving. You can say what you want, but the numbers ain't making sense. And if you're a black leader in a state like Florida, and you're a school system, and you know you in Georgia, Florida, Texas, you kicking them kids out to send them to alternative, not caring about those kids, only caring about what your numbers gonna look like. Shame on you. You're gonna have to answer to that before God. That's between you and God. If you gutless spot, there you go. Let's make our affirmations. Let's make our affirmations. 2022 is my year. I am blessed. I am the head and not the tail. I am above only and not beneath. Everything my hand touch prospers. The wisdom and the anointing of God is upon me. In Jesus' name, amen. Family, we be back here. I know I miss prayer. Lord, thank you for the day. Bless everyone on the Success Family, Father. I speak life to their finances, death to their debt. And I thank you for using me in Jesus' name. Amen. Listen, I know I started off. It just sparked on the inside of me when I watched that video, that introduction video. Black males can graduate 80, 90, and 100%. Black people, we got to do better. We got to do better in the sense of holding the schools accountable for our children. And you might not understand how to do that, but if you're a parent, and then I talk to black parents all the time. Call me, man, because I'm telling you, what they do to your children, what they do to our children, it'd be criminal, man. And if you don't bark, if you don't push back on the first infraction, like the first time they even approach the line, you act like they have approached the line. That makes sense for parents. Like say the line is here. Say the line is here. When they get here, you act like they were here. See, I mean, like you speak, you be aggressive when they're here. When they're here, when they do something to get this close, you go so radical like they were here. And you make it a big deal, like, so that they say something like, when that man said to my daughter, what is, like, what are you acting dumb or so, whatever he said, man, I called the superintendent, I called everybody. I was ready to go to war over that. What? That's how he talked. That ain't not it. When it comes to them 3 M's, Mia, Mariah, and Mark Jr., you better fix your mouth, because that's not how you talk to them 3 M's. Not them little ones. Now, if the principal ain't gonna hold you accountable how you talk to everybody, those 3 M's that belong to him, then we ain't talking like that with them. Because we ready for whatever it is you want to go into. If it's emails, if it's conversation, I know where I'm going. Dr. Abraham, you always want to fight. I ain't saying, I'm just saying. You always ready to throw them hands. Hey, family, I love y'all. I will see y'all tomorrow morning. Man, listen, you can hear the passion in my voice, because I ain't stopped for 110 minutes. I just kept going. So as you can see, when we talk about Black children graduating and Black children being successful, that is what I was called to do. If you want to know what my calling is that now. When I go into a school, I got to have all these different type of conversations because there's so many dynamics that's working. So with school turnaround, there's so many dynamics that's working. But to see the Black and brown children be successful, the ones that are just me, I just the underdogs, man, the folks who people say they can't do it. That's just my passion, man. People say, when you gonna stop? Well, when the graduation rate increases for all children across the board. We're talking about Black people who were scientists. They were doctors, the smartest people in our land. You kidnappers bring us here and then say that we're nothing. We built the country and then say that we're not good enough. We're not intelligent. We're not smart. How does that even make sense? And then brainwash Black people to feel inadequate about themselves. Well, you start to even say as Black people, oh yeah, if they did like me, if they they got the credit right and they did this and they did that, they'll be successful just like me. But you say that because you don't want to make no waves, because you ain't never got no fight with nobody. You ain't never advocate, so you have this arrogant Clarence Thomas type mentality. Oh, big head joke. All right, family, I'm going. That's it. I'm done. Turn the camera off. I'm finished. Love y'all. See you tomorrow morning. Peace.